Boom, there it is, ladies and gents. Man, I thought I was dedicated. Our guest today is up at 2 a.m. to do this show. YouTube is that important. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's do this. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Is your business in need of customers? Then you found the right show. Hernan Cias is the business bro, and he makes getting customers fun and easy. Watch, listen, and learn as each episode is designed to sell. Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. All right, ladies and gents, let's do this thing. Let's drop some heat. Guys, remember, our number one rule in business is to be of service to others. So this is just your friendly reminder to like, share, and subscribe, because every time you do, you help an entrepreneur find a customer, and a customer find a solution to their problem. All right, today's guest was a former engineer turned YouTuber. He's truly making an impact with the power of education, video, and yes, of course, YouTube. Now, his YouTube channel is helping high school students pass standardized exams that are required to earn a high school diploma. And he's reaching roughly 10% of all high school students in the country. Now, he's sharing how you too can build a YouTube channel and reach your audience in an unprecedented way. So let's welcome to the show, from YouTuber's Toolkit, Itai Nusbaum. All right, my friend, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you so much for having me. That's a great introduction. Thank you.
Well, man, dude, you're in the YouTube space, my friend, and you are creating content and putting it out at scale, at least consistently that you've been doing it. So I'm going to ask you probably the very first question I should probably ask everybody, but why come on the Business Bros?
Why are you doing this?
Because I want to know.
Right. So I think people should know they should use YouTube. That's the first answer that comes to mind. Okay. If you're talking to entrepreneurs or to small businesses, I would say when entrepreneurs think of social media and how to reach their audience, they think like maybe LinkedIn or Facebook or groups or stuff like that, or maybe Instagram even. But not all of them think YouTube. And as far as I can see it, YouTube is a very big player in reaching your audience, in explaining what you do, who you are, why do you do what you do, and actually making your audience trust you. So for me, it's the first place to go when you want to establish your online presence and build a business.
Well, I think it's because everybody feels like it's been around. It's like the dinosaur of the different platforms that are out there. It's out there with Google, right? It's one of the first video platforms. So everybody feels like it's super saturated and everybody's had a YouTube channel. How could I possibly stand out in that ocean of videos?
Well, I would say, it's true. YouTube is ancient in terms of social media, and everybody has a YouTube channel, but I would say not everybody has a good YouTube channel. Okay, so the fact that you open a YouTube channel and you uploaded like 3 videos that no one watched ever doesn't mean you occupied anybody's space. Like, if no one watches a video, it's practically you don't have a YouTube channel. So don't say everybody has a YouTube channel. Say how many good YouTube channels are in my very specific niche, right? In like targeting my very specific audience. And the answer is not so many. And the question you need to ask yourself is, can I do something else? Can I bring something new to the table? Am I different in any way? And that's a question you ask yourself in any business, because if you have a business, the question is, what's different about my business from other businesses? If there is one different thing in your business, you can open a YouTube channel, right? And you can be fresh and innovative on YouTube.
You know, it's funny, the uniqueness of what you're saying, and I'm not just you in general, but I'm talking about when you're creating content on YouTube, the uniqueness of what you're saying isn't as relevant as maybe the time that you've posted it, because I feel like there's so many people who have repeated a lot of messages. You get to put your spin on it, of course. You get to put your opinion on it. but the core of the messages are often the same. Sometimes, you know, and people ask themselves, and I know imposter syndrome starts to set in, like, why would somebody listen to me? Why is it more important for me to say it? And my answer to them is usually something along the lines of, you know, sometimes we hear a message when we need to hear it from who we needed to hear it at the time that we needed to hear it. And there could have been a repeat number of messages out there, but this one is mine. So, you know, what are you thinking when you're training people to get that concept out, even if it's not absolutely unique?
Right. So that's so true what you just said. Like sometimes you can see the same video over and over again, but one of them will catch your eye. Like it's going to be your specific video or your face even, or the way you talk or the way I connected with you that makes me actually understand or listen to what you have to say. So YouTube is all about your face. It's about your personality. It's very personal. Unlike other social media platforms, I can hear you, I can see your face, I can see your eyes, I can see who you are, I can listen to the way you talk, to the words you're using, and I can really connect with the person behind the business. And you are special for your business because you are not in any other's business. So maybe the way you say it and the way I connect to you is going to sink in for me. And I'm going to connect to you. And then I want to follow up and know you and your business more. So it's super true. Right.
But let's talk about your credentials, because I know when I want to learn something, if I really want to dive into it, I'm going to find somebody who's already done what I want to achieve, and I'm going to learn everything I possibly can from them. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into the YouTube space.
Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
Right. That's right. So I've been doing YouTube for 5 years now. I've produced about 300 videos, and my videos are about 20 to 30 minutes long. I do educational videos, and I teach high school students materials they need to know in order to pass their exams, like you said before. So I teach math and physics and English and civics and history and like many stuff. And so I learned the hard way, I would say, what works and what not in YouTube, because I would say high school students, like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, they don't want to learn math.
No, they don't.
In YouTube. Okay. So they're not the easiest audience to crack, right? Like when you turn to, I would say grown-ups, okay? Like business owners, entrepreneurs, stuff like that. They want to learn, they want to know what they don't know, right?
Yes.
They're searching for what they don't know. And with my experience, I had to overcome the fact that they don't want to know, they don't like, they need to know, but they don't really want to know. So I have to be engaging enough and interesting enough for them, A, to find me, and B, to keep watching, because I teach physics and like, okay, that's not, So after doing it for 5 years now, I learned so much about how to make people find you instead of other people, I would say. That's a big one on YouTube. Because you said like YouTube is super saturated and it's so hard to be the one that actually someone would watch you. So that's step number one, like make them find you. And step number two, how to keep them watching, right? Because they're going to open a video and they're like, okay, this is super boring for me. Even though I want to know that it's super boring and I can't stay and watch it, especially the young generation, right? If you're 15, like staying and watching like a 20-minute video on
too long
any
already.
subject, on any subject, right? Yeah. It's really hard, and like the attention span is very short, and the retention of the video is very short. So it's very hard, like to understand what would I put in a video to actually make them watch it, because I can give the best value in a video, but if no one's going to watch it, then it doesn't matter, right? So how do I do it, right? How to make them find me, how to make them watch. That's the two big questions about YouTube. And that's what I'm doing for 5 years now.
All right, so you've been figuring that stuff out. I feel the same way, man. I feel like I just recently started to crack finally like Instagram Reels and figuring out my own framework for creating content, for creating videos that works for me and my style. Is it unique to any one individual, or is it more like a template or a framework that anybody can follow and build a successful YouTube channel by?
Right. So I would say it's more of a framework. Right? So basically, you can do, like, I can give you a structure of what you should do, and inside the structure, you can do whatever you want, right? But basically, you have like this, I would say, even some points like in a roadmap that you have to check, that okay, if I'm making a new YouTube video, what do I need in this video, right? And I would say, like, for example, everybody needs an intro to the video. Like, explain your audience, what are they going to watch? Okay, are they in the right place? Like, let them know they're in the right place. You should do it in every video. So that's your framework, like rule number one, right? So in my opinion, everybody should do it. You can do it in any way you want. Like, you can say, basically, you can introduce yourself, your content, your guest, your whatever, your video, what you're talking about in any way you want, but you should introduce it. So I would know in the first few seconds of the video, is this video for me or not? Am I in the right place or not? Was this a clickbait or not? Right. So I have so many questions when I watch a video, and you basically have 10 seconds to help me decide if am I going to stay or not. So I'm just giving you now, you have 10 seconds, do whatever you want. But and you can, and inside this framework, you can have your own interpretation of how do I want to present it. Like, do I want to do it like exciting and funny, or do I want to do more serious, or do I want to do like bullet points or whatever, right? You can do whatever you want, but you should at least make them understand they're in the right place.
All right, well, let's talk about building the actual business part. So, okay, you're experiencing, you're a practitioner. So there's something to be said about the fact that you're literally doing this every single day. We have the same thing, right? We help people create podcasts. Why? Because we literally create a podcast every single day. It's part of the practice that we do. So what in any business, in building the business, in building the podcast, we encountered problems. In building the YouTube channel, you encountered problems. In building your business, you're going to encounter problems. What were some of those major problems that you've seen in your business, or maybe that you still have today?
So I would say one of the biggest hurdles in YouTube is understanding that YouTube is a long-term game. Okay, this is not like make one video, go viral, everybody knows you're going to be the best business ever. So this usually that's not what's happened, and it's actually about content creation. Like, the hard thing to do is keep giving good content and good value for your audience, right? So fortunately for me, high school students, they have so much they need to learn. So I always have no ideas of what to teach, right? But
Very true.
For any other business, I would say, you want to give value for your customers, right? Or for your audience. You really need to think, how am I going to do it in a video format, in a valuable way? And I don't want to do it all at once. And I want to be somewhat consistent about keep posting videos, because I'm not going to be able to post, like, I would say most people can't post a video every day or every week or even every month, but it's fine. As long as you have a plan of, like, okay, I'm going to do 10 videos a year. Can you do 10 videos a year? 6 videos a year. I when I talk to my customers, and they're super afraid of, like, how many videos should I make? I can make so many videos. And I would say, can you make one video every 2 months? Can you do it? That's a good start. Just get into the business of making videos, of filming yourself, of talking to the camera, talking to your audience through YouTube. Like, so just get the feeling of making just a few videos and give value. And then when you get into it, you can do more and more. So I'm now in a place where I make a video every week, and I can say it's very hard. That it's a lot of work. So there's no free customers for everybody, right? If you want people to know you, you should actually reach them And by reaching them, I mean, give them what they're looking for, right? So you need to think, what are they looking for? How can I give it to them? How can I explain it in a video? Why me? Like, you have so many questions to answer before even you make the video, and only then you make a video. So actually, content creation is a biggie when it comes to YouTube.
Yeah, and that's 100% true, because that's what you're creating is content. That's the only thing that lives on YouTube. So you said the two biggest problems that I heard you say were understanding that YouTube is a long-term investment. That when you're creating content, yes, it's possible that you have a video that goes viral, but that's not really the case. It's creating a series. It's creating a bunch of content pieces. It's creating essentially a searchable area of content with your names attached to it. And then the second thing is, in order for you to get there was to post on a consistent basis, because the only way that you're going to acquire that content is by consistently posting. So developing that framework to set yourself up to be successful in posting that content. So how do you define for you, or as you were building your channel for your students, how did you define a successful channel?
Right. So that's a very tough question. Okay. So people would define it differently from me, but I would say if your channel is growing, that's the best sign you have, right? And I mean growing not as in a linear way, I would say in more of an exponential way. Because what tends to happen in YouTube is I made a video, then I make another one, then I make another one. So my first video is still here. So I keep making videos. The new people who find me, they find more and more videos. So the first person to find me, he only watches one video. But like after a year, I already have 20 videos, right? So I'm like a real channel now. Like I have 20 videos. You can have real value from me. And a few years later, I have 100 videos. And I'm like this giant monster of value. So more and more people would find me. And I have more and more doors for people to open to get to me and for me to reach them. And so the sign for you that you're actually making a good YouTube channel is the growth. That's the first sign. So it's hard to get there. So you always start in a very low, like, I don't know any YouTube channel that started like immediately on the first video, like everybody knows him and now everybody waits for his next video, right? So usually you have like this 10, 20, even 30 videos before you get real audience. But somewhere along the way, you would see the start of a grow. And then you know, okay, this works for me and it's a long-term game. Again, it can take more than a year. Like my channel took, for me to understand it actually works, took more than a year. Like I put like, I would say 25 to 30 videos before I really started to see, okay, it's catching up. Like people are like, and I can see, you can see in the analytics of YouTube, like how they reach you. And I can see people are sharing my videos like via WhatsApp and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, if someone sends his friends videos over the phone, I'm doing something right.
I'm doing something right. Yeah, the shareability is huge, right? I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna write this down because otherwise I'll forget. I'm gonna ask you about podcasting and YouTube channels, because I think that's very selfish of me, and I might as well use our time correctly. All right, but I did want to say, looking at creating content, when you're looking at shares, those shares and saves to me are some of the greatest metrics where you can tell that you're making an impact in something. For me in Instagram Reels, for example, right now, I'm getting to the point where my post from this morning had like 67 shares and like 65 saves. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting to tug a string here. More of this, add more of this, right? Like all of a sudden the taste is right. So trying to figure out YouTube and podcasting, we literally do a show every single day. We post, it's live streaming to YouTube. Our YouTube is growing, but it's growing really slow. I haven't dedicated as much time to YouTube as I usually do with Instagram, for example. There's growth, and you're literally episode 959. There's like 700 plus episodes on YouTube that we've posted. A lot of volume. It's done great for our searchability, especially on Google and on YouTube. how, once I got momentum, would you say, maybe suggest to start growing that follower count even more? It grows, not exponentially, very slowly, linearly.
Right. So I would say podcasting is in YouTube is very hard because as a YouTube viewer, usually you don't go to YouTube to listen to podcasts or to watch live podcasts, right? So when you have a YouTuber mindset, like think of the viewer, right? When you have a viewer mindset, I just went to YouTube on my phone, like I want to watch, I don't know what. And usually it's not going to be 40 minutes podcast episode. And YouTube is a very visual platform. It's very distracting. Like I have like these notes and other suggestions and videos and stuff like that. And everything is 2 minutes and super, super bright. And like listening in to a 30-minute conversation, even if it's a very good conversation, is very hard to do in YouTube, right? So what I would, and I already had this question, so I know what I want to answer, right? Because I talk to many podcasts and they ask me this question, and I tell them, you can differentiate between your podcast and your YouTube value that you give. So, for example, you can use your YouTube channel to give snippets of your podcast conversation and lead people into the conversation, right? You can have a 2-3 minute video of like highlights from our conversation. Like take this sentence, for example, right? And you take several sentences from what I said, what you said, like questions you have and stuff like that. And you show what this conversation is about, right? And then I can see that in a 2-minute video. It's super interesting to me. I follow through to see either the live stream or the pre-recorded video or actually listening to the podcast in my favorite podcast app, right? Yeah. So in that way, you direct your content better, you do it better suited to the platform, right? Because I would say anyone who makes 30-minute video is having a hard time on YouTube. Okay, it's very hard to keep people engaged for that long time, especially if you want to watch. Like it's completely different from podcast, because when do I hear podcast? If I'm driving to work, so I put a podcast in my car. I don't have to engage more than that. Like I listen and I drive. And in YouTube video, like you expect me to watch you talk for 30 minutes when you don't move so much and it's not so interesting. Like, okay, you have an interesting background, but I'm not going to watch it for 30 minutes straight. So I just want to listen to you. And I don't listen to stuff on YouTube so much. So you can use the platform for your advantage, understand how it works. Like YouTube is a very visual platform. So make it visual, make it short, make it concise, make it interesting. And you can keep all your live streams on YouTube. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know if that's have to be like your main feature on your YouTube channel. You can have the snippets as your main feature to lead to your live streams, right?
I love that. I love that, because essentially you're not really saying don't do it. You're just saying prepare it differently, right? It's like to me, it's like you're hungry. You're ready to consume some food. Well, do you go fast food? Do you prepare it at home? Do you go to eat Chinese? Do you go to eat Mexican? Do you go to eat American? Everything is prepared differently. And when you show up, you expect that item to be prepared that way. And I feel the same ways when you're creating content. You're not going to create the same type of content for YouTube that you would for TikTok, that you would for Instagram, that you would for Twitter. They're different mediums. People expect it to be prepared in different ways, because when they go to that platform, this is what they're expecting. So that totally makes sense. Just take your same 30-minute piece of content, but reframe it in a way, cut it up in a way that's presentable to that particular platform, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I meant. And you can do it. Doesn't have to be so much work for you, because you already have the video. Now you go and just cut some pieces. It can be a 20-minute deal, right? After you have you already have the live stream, just cut some like the best sentences. And like the conversation is good anyway, right? You have a great podcast episode anyway. So just take like the highlights and the keys and throw them with an intro, and that's it. You have a
Man.
2-minute video, 3-minute video.
And it sounds like it's, when I first got into this podcast space, I wanted to do a YouTube channel, but I sat there and took so much time to edit one video. I was like, no, there's no way I can do this consistently. But today's editing software, you can use programs like Canva. There's certain things that you can do within the platforms themselves to add subtitles and things like that. It makes it a lot easier to create content, especially with practice. I mean, yes, it takes time to create some really nice stuff, but it doesn't have to be as well produced on every platform, right?
Right. So I wouldn't say it doesn't have to be. I would say it shouldn't be. When you start a YouTube channel, you don't need to be fancy or like bells and whistles and stuff like that, right? When you start a YouTube channel, it's about the value, right? And I am as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, right? The main thing I care about is providing value, because I know the main thing my audience cares about is about the value. They have a question and they search for a question and they want to know the answer. Like I can have like this fancy camera gear and whatnot, and do animations and stuff like that, and lower thirds and whatnot. Like I can do, you can edit a video forever, right? And you wouldn't think it's good enough for YouTube. But I say, just open your computer camera and talk to your audience and give them what they're looking for, because that's the most important thing. And that's what it's all about, especially when you start. So don't invest your time on edit and fancy softwares and camera gear. And if you say, like, I hear sometimes people say, oh, I want to open a YouTube channel, but I need to invest $2,000 because I want to buy like this fancy camera and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I still shoot my videos on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's a $100 phone. Like, this is the phone. It's a very cheap one. It's not an iPhone or anything like that. So it's just a cheap phone. And I have like a 1080p video camera, and that's it basically. That's what you need.
You don't need that much. And I love how you said that. It's when you are finding somebody on Google or YouTube, it's search. I want the freaking answer. And if you're providing the answer in the most concise way that I can completely understand, your video is going to win out. It's simplicity, it's clarity, it's the answer to the problem. And isn't it funny how that same answer is the way everything works? Like, you got a customer, the reason why he's there is because you got a solution to their problem. Simplicity works every single time. All right, Itai, before we head out, is there any last minute thoughts or final thoughts before we head out? And make sure that you tell the audience, if they want to find more information about working with you or getting your toolkit, how can they do that?
Right. So I would say the main takeout for this conversation is, A, YouTube is not so hard. I know it's intimidating, but it's not so hard. And B, YouTube can be really big for your business. If you want people to find you, if you want to reach your audience, and if you want to convey your message, you should use YouTube. Okay. And for people to find me, they can go to youtuberstoolkit.com. That's our website. It's yt-tk.com. And we have plenty of free stuff that you can download, and we have checklists for how to make your video, and we have an ebook about like understand the basics of YouTube and stuff like that. So you have a good way to start just by going to the website and like check out the free stuff. And of course, if you want me personally to have a chat with you and take a look at your YouTube channel, and you want to have a conversation about how can you make your own YouTube channel better, we can do that. And if you want, we also we have a course, and we have like this special program for entrepreneurs where I take them for a few months and I lead them through all the struggles of YouTube. Like, if you're serious on YouTube, you can definitely contact me and we can talk about that too. So you should just basically go to the website and see what's there. There's tons of value, and I think I can answer your questions. And YouTube is very important, so I really think you should use it.
Yeah, ladies and gents, make sure you guys check it out. That's yt-tk.com. That's YouTubers Toolkit. That's what the letters stand for. YT-TK.com. YouTubers Toolkit. Look, here's the bottom line. You need to create content. You're an entrepreneur or you're thinking about being an entrepreneur. The only way you're going to get your message out is by creating content. You have to go where the eyeballs are. And right now, the eyeballs are looking at their phones, scrolling. And if you're not showing up, sorry, buddy, you're not important enough to remember. And when it comes time to do the sale, they're not going to remember who you are. So you have to create content somehow, some way. And YouTube is one of those great places because it's searchable content, how-to videos, little lessons on what you're already doing. You think it's mundane because you do it every day, but that's a piece of content that somebody who knows nothing can benefit from. So you got to start creating stuff. YT-TK.com, YouTubers Toolkit. Check it out. Go get all that free stuff. But most importantly, implement what you learn. It's the only way that you're going to get better. Itai, thank you very much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys again mañana. Peace. And we're out.
Thanks for watching The Business Bros. If you're ready to get more clients and want to work with The Business Bro, visit our website, www.businessbros.biz, and click on the Need More Customers button, or learn how to generate more referrals with our video testimonial packages. Go to www.businessbros.biz and